if what you expect is mayhem and catastrophe, which is what you should expect given how fragile you are and how fragile systems are in general, then every moment where that isn't happening is actually it's a miraculous testament to the triumph of the human spirit. And one of the things I would say is we've got that happening pretty decently in the West. Like, our societies are pretty damn civilized. And I know they have their flaws, and resources are distributed unequally, and that obviously causes a certain amount of trouble, but it could be a hell of a lot worse than it is. And we're pretty damn fortunate that things are good. And I would say we could take a certain amount of credit for that, because the reason they're good is because most of you are pretty damn honest and trustworthy. And so how the hell that happened, I have no idea. I really don't, because you see around the world and in history, there's so many corrupt states. And once the society is corrupt at the state level and at the individual level, and the baseline interaction between people isn't predicated on trust, it's virtually impossible to figure out how the hell that ever gets going. Because if you can't trust anyone around you, then how do you start trusting people? It just never seems, just something that doesn't seem to ever get off the ground. And yet the default interaction in the West, and increasingly I would say in the rest of the world, the default interaction in the world is actually one of trust. I can give you an example of this. This was a small miracle, I think. I think I tell this story. I think it was in the chapter I cut out of 12 Rules. But it'll be in the next book, I think. So, not because it's a lesser chapter, but I lent my car to my graduate student about 20 years ago, and he drove to Montreal in the car. It was an old Cadillac, and he hit this torrential rainstorm and hit the brakes and smacked the car into a cement wall. And right on the corner, the front corner, which is a bad place to have a dent because it takes out the bumper and the front quarter panel and the closey thing. Anyways. Channeling my inner Homer Simpson, I would say. So, anyways, he brought the car back, and he was all embarrassed about it, and I still give him a rough time about it, because why not? And I decided to get the car fixed, so I took it to a mechanic, and he gave me some insane estimate that was like worth more than the car, and I thought, well, I can't do that. And so I went online, because you can now, if you want to fix your car, you can go online and you can describe the part, and then junk dealers all over North America will bid on the right to sell you the part, and then they'll ship it to you. It's a pretty good deal. So I put the part in and waited, and this guy from Mississippi got back to me, and he said, I have that part. And so we communicated by email a little bit, and he said he wanted some ridiculously low price for it. It was like $150 for the whole front end assembly, and he was going to ship it and he'd charge me for that. I thought, well, that's a good deal, and I could find someone to put it in. So that was fine, and I gave him my phone number, and about half an hour later he called me and he said, look, I just went out into the yard and I found out that that part that I was going to sell you, there's a plastic piece on the side and it has a scratch in it. And I thought, wow, that's so amazing. It's like, you're a junk dealer in Mississippi, and I'm never going to see you again. You don't know who the hell I am, and you already gave me a really good deal on this part, and yet you called me up to tell me that it was scratched. And I thought, well, thank you. That's very good of you. It really is very good of you. And I said, that's okay. Send it anyways, scratch or no scratch, and thanks for telling me. And then he called me again about 15 minutes later, and he said, wait a sec, did you want the bumper or the whole bumper assembly with the lights and everything? And I said, well, I specified that in my original request. I wanted the whole assembly. He said, oh, well, the price I quoted you was just for the bare shell. And he said, but look, because we already made the deal, I'll honor it. And I thought, that's why our damn civilization works. And I'm really serious about that. I'm dead serious about that.